liberties are civil rights and freedoms that provide individual rights for the good of the community, especially with regard to freedom of action and speech.
Civil rights are a class of rights based upon birthright into a policy of designation, the right of citizens to political and social freedom and equality.
Civil rights have traditionally revolved around the basic right to be free from unequal treatment based on certain protected characteristics in settings such as unemployment and housing. Civil liberties concern basic rights and freedoms that are guaranteed either explicitly identified in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution or interpreted through the years by courts and lawmakers.
Mr. Angelillo, may we please say the Our Father?
Now, Dana, you know you cannot say your prayers in school.
Why not?
It goes against the Establishment Clause and separation of church and state. According to the separation of church and state, someone cannot openly pray in public school setting. The state does not fund money to the churches.
Well, can I pray in school at all?
Yes. According to Lee v. Wiseman, Robert E. Lee, a middle school principal, invited a rabbi to speak at his school's graduation ceremony. Daniel Wiseman's daughter, Deborah, was among the graduates. Hoping to stop the rabbi from speaking at his daughter's graduation, Wiseman sought a temporary restraining order in district court, but was denied. After the ceremony, where prayers were recited, Wiseman filed for a permanent injunction barring Lee and Providence Public Schools officials from inviting clergy to deliver invocations against the schools. Lee appealed to the Supreme Court and was granted a certiorari. In 5-4 decision, the court held that the government involvement in this case creates a state sponsor that states direct religious exercise in public schools. Such conduct conflicts with settled rules prescribing prayers for students. The school's rules create subtle and indirect coercion, forcing students to act in ways which establish state and religion. The cornerstone principle of the Establishment Clause is that government may not compose official prayer to recite as part of religious program carried on by government.
I see your point, Mr. Angelillo. Thank you.
Just remember, if you do pray while in school, pray silently to yourself.
Freedom of speech is the political right to communicate one's opinions and ideas. Libel and slander are civil wrongs that harm a reputation, decrease respect, regard, or confidence, or induce disparaging, hostile, or disagreeable opinions or feelings against an individual. The injury to one's good name or reputation is effected through written or spoken words or visual images. The Supreme Court case that dealt with sedition was United States v. Rahm. Formerly a resident of New York City, Omar Abdul Rahm and 9 others were convicted of seditious conspiracy, which requires only that a crime be planned, not that it necessarily was attempted. His prosecution grew out of investigations of the World Trade Center 1993 bombings.
Prior restraint is a way in which government may attempt to restrict speech. Prior speech may occur in 2 ways. First, a statute may require that a person submit the speech that he wished to decimate. Second, a court may issue a temporary restraining order or any injunction against engaging in particular speech.
Symbolic speech is a form of speech that expresses an idea or emotion without the use of words, such as burning one's draft card, bra, flag, or picketing. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution.
No, I won't go. Heck no, I won't go.
Hey,
no.
stop. You can't picket here. You'll get in trouble.
Yes, I can, because of the freedom of assembly and petition. Do you even know what that is?
No.
Freedom of assembly and petition forbids Congress from passing any law restricting the right of the people to assemble or petition the government for any reason.
Is this where the right to assemble comes from?
Yes. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I think so. It is the right for the people to come together and to petition and peacefully gather or demonstrate or support in opposition of public property. But I thought the government can impose restriction on it.
No, they cannot. Government officials may not impose restrictions on protest or any other lawful assembly in order to censor a viewpoint just because they don't like it. However, they can impose some limitations on assembly rights by setting time, place, and manner restrictions. I also have the right to come together with a group and express, promote, pursue, and defend my interests.
We see the freedom of speech and assemble in the Hill v. Colorado court case. In response to avid protesting at abortion clinics, Colorado legislated that protesters within 100 feet of any healthcare facility may not approach within 8 feet or any other person for the purpose of protest, education, disruption, or literature on counseling. The legal question at hand was, does the Colorado law potentially violate the First and Fourth Amendment rights of citizens who would like to protest, educate, and counsel outside these facilities? The court ruled 6-3 that the First Amendment right of freedom of speech was not violated by a Colorado law limiting protest, education, disruption of literature, or counseling within 8 feet of a person entering a healthcare facility. The Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution is part of the Bill of Rights, which guards against unreasonable searches and seizures, along with requiring any warrant to be judicial. The Fourth Amendment protects personal privacy and every citizen's right to be free from unreasonable government intrusion in their persons, home, businesses, and property, whether through police stops of citizens on the street, arrest, or searches of homes and businesses. In order for your property to be searched, the person conducting the search must have a warrant.
An example of this is Barnes v. Camden in July 2010. The ACLU and the ACLU of New Jersey filed a lawsuit on behalf of an innocent man who was jailed for more than a year after police officers planted drugs on him. The officers were later implicated in a large-scale evidence planning conspiracy affecting nearly 200 Camden residents.
The Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution protects against abuse of government authority in a legal procedure. Under the Fifth Amendment, you have double jeopardy, pleading the Fifth during criminal trials, and due process. Double jeopardy is the prosecution of a person twice for the same offense. Pleading the Fifth is when someone declines to give self-incriminating information. There are 2 types of due process. The first, substantive due process, is whether the nature of the law is constitutional. The second, procedural due process, is when you cannot afford the proper procedures that the law allows you to have. Eminent domain is the power to take a private property for public use by state or private person or corporation authorized to exercise functions of public character following their payment of just compensation to the owner of the property. The Sixth Amendment is the right to a speedy trial and the right to know what you've been accused of. It also has the right to be confronted with the witnesses against you. However, it's mostly known for the right to a speedy trial. The Seventh Amendment is the right to a jury trial in certain civil cases and asserts that cases may not be re-examined.
Do you feel as though you want to be treated equally? Feel like your crimes will be treated more unjust than those of an American citizen who's been here longer? No worries. The Eighth Amendment has you covered.
The Eighth Amendment protects all prisoners from cruel and unjust punishments, also from excessive bail.
Thanks for watching. Any questions, call 1-800-FREEDOM. That's 1-800-FREEDOM. That's 1-800-373-3366.